All right. So I'm back here. We're going on to the next video in this series. We're going to talk about definitions and dates. Some of these things might not seem important to you, but the further and further you get into the mobile home and manufactured housing industry, you're going to learn that these dates are extremely important to you. When you're showing up to properties, when you're trying to move some stuff around, this might seem like just basic information, and it is. But overall, you're going to be happy the first time that you show up on a property and these dates start popping back into your mind, and you're like, oh yeah, that was a good thing to learn. So we're going to go through this. Mobile homes, trailer homes. As you can see here, we have 3 homes that are prime examples of what we would call a mobile home, trailer home. I know I've told you in the past, I don't like calling these things mobile homes. Everybody in the industry prefers to call them manufactured homes. Mobile homes are generally considered properties built before June of 1976. June of 1976 is when HUD was introduced, and everything past then is typically termed manufactured homes. Some of the things that I can tell about these 3 units here, while I consider each and every one of them to be very aesthetically appealing, they are nice looking homes. Some of the things that I can tell about them that indicates to me that they are older homes built pre-HUD is the width of the unit, this width here. These older homes are often 12 foot or less, and these all are very skinny homes. I can see that the roof definition, they're all slightly curved roofs, all items that are very good indicators of a pre-1976 home. So if I'm driving through a mobile home park and I'm doing a little bit of due diligence here, I can look at these homes and be like, okay, that's a 1970s, that's a 60s, that's a 50s, that's a 90s, that's a 2000. I can kind of get some of that basic information because I know how HUD standards and how manufactured and mobile homes have been processed over the years. So this right here is what we're looking at. Okay, manufactured homes, and I've already hinted to this, are properties built after June of 1976 to HUD standards. HUD was Housing and Urban Development. They stepped in because there were a lot of issues with mobile homes. Mobile homes not having any standards, whoever built it is whoever assembled it, and there was no regulation saying, these fire issues need to be dealt with, these wind hazard issues need to be dealt with, these roof load hazards need to be dealt with. None of that was a part of that prior to HUD stepping in. So the Housing and Urban Development stepping in and putting criteria on homes, forcing them to have a higher standard, kind of helped move us out of those stereotypical mobile home stereotypes. They're tornado magnets, they're trash, they're this, they're that. While they are low-income housing, their standards are far superior to what they were pre-1976. So keep that in mind. We're also going to talk about modular homes, not so much from this class. We are not teaching you about modular homes, but you might hear modular home and sit there and think, well, that's a manufactured home, that's a mobile home. Modular homes are not mobile homes. They are built-in manufacturers, but the key difference between a manufactured home and a modular home is a manufactured home is built to HUD standards in a factory and delivered to your local municipality, whereas a modular home is built in a manufacturer to local codes and city ordinances and then shipped and assembled on site. So a manufactured home is built to HUD standards, a modular home is built to city-state standards. Different standards, different things, but kind of can get confused. There is a difference though. We've also got tiny homes. Tiny homes is something kind of new to the industry. We haven't, really seen or heard of these until like the last decade. But a tiny home is essentially something under 500 foot. And, a lot of people are building these on their own. It's kind of a new thing that's going on. But while I feel that a lot of what I'm teaching you today could be applied to tiny homes is a different category, and we're not necessarily talking about those. Park models. Park models you might run across every once in a while, but they are under 400 square foot. And what I mean by a park model is, let's say I've got a bunch of homes for sale. I'll use one of these small units. Maybe they don't have a bedroom, or maybe they have a really small bedroom, really small. They're under 400 square foot. It's just kind of there to show you some of the features of the homes and what they can look like. That's what park models are. You've got our recreational vehicles, RVs. They are temporary, designed for temporary accommodations, temporary living. And then you've got the introduction of HUD. HUD was introduced on June 15th of 1976, and as I mentioned, it was there for good reasons. You've got people living in these homes, you've got people, putting their lives into these homes. we need some level of standards. We don't need these things to be fire hazards. We don't need these things to be tornado magnets. We don't need them to be, overall unsafe. When HUD stepped in, they improved the housing industry considerably by doing so. And thanks to them, as of today, mobile homes manufactured homes are a far more, sturdy asset, better asset, however you want to call it. They're pretty awesome, man. I love investing in mobile homes, and I think you should as well. So continuing, 1950s is about when mobile homes started becoming permanent living structures. Mobile homes have been around for obviously longer than that, but around 1950s is when you started seeing people advertise these as a permanent place to live. Around June of 15th, 1976 is when HUD standards were introduced. Man, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Almost out of bang. If you haven't tried one, they're yummy. Man. But National Manufactured Housing Construction Safety Standards, June 15th, 1976. Very important date for you. Around 1983, though, is when HUD changed up their standards a little bit and forced homes to start becoming a lot more pitched on the roofs. As you've seen in some previous slides, the roof on them were very slightly curved. That causes problem with ice and snow building up on top of these roofs. Collapsing roofs, not good for homeowners. So 1983, pitched roofs. If you see anything that has a pitched roof, you can almost guarantee it was built after 1983. If you see something with a curved roof, very small pitch, I mean it's very small pitch, just like almost no pitch at all, pre-83. So this is how you can kind of start gauging these homes as you're driving through. In 1994, HUD implemented what we're going to call Wind Zone 2. Prior to 94, all homes were considered the same, and a home that would be installed in Oregon could also be installed on the Florida Gulf Coast. Well, for those of us that have lived in the United States for long enough, we all know that Oregon doesn't really get hurricane warnings. But Florida gets hurricane warnings all the time. Well, if I am a homeowner, would I rather have a home that was built for Oregon or a home that was built to handle the wind loads of a hurricane? That's when the wind zones started coming into place. And these wind zones are very important to you. We'll talk more about that in some future classes, but I don't want to install a wind zone 1 home in a wind zone 2 area. It's not A, ethical, and B, not legal. Don't do it. You need to make sure you're understanding your wind zones. 2000, wind zone 3 was added. That kind of goes once again back into some of the Gulf Coast areas where we're seeing high levels of tornado activity. Very important date. I have heard rumors that there might be a wind zone 4 coming in the future. And as we get into this other slide, you'll also realize that when we're looking at the wind zone maps, Tornado Alley is still considered wind zone 1. I feel like regulation will come in the distant future that's going to regulate Tornado Alley as a different wind zone, because I don't think it's fair for, for Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas to all still be considered wind zone 1, just like Oregon. We get hit with tornadoes all the time. We need to be better prepared for those, so that might happen in the future. But Texas, and I am a Texas investor, so excuse me if this class is tailored a little bit around Texas, but once again, all of the information is applicable across the United States. Don't discourage yourself because you're gonna have to do some of your own work. If you're that easily discouraged, you might want to just stop now. Take the time, educate yourself on your own state. And for you Texas investors, in 2003, Texas implemented the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, an absolute powerhouse of regulations that allowed us as investors to just really perform underneath a governing body that really took into consideration what we needed in this community and gave it to us. So be respectful and happy that they did that, because actually Texas, out of all 50 states, has the only online lien research application, titling application, all online that I know of. I don't think there's another state in the union that has an advanced system as Texas does. So Texas investors, cheer on for that. For everybody else, just remember, you're gonna have to figure it out in your own state. So I hope you got some value out of that. Like I said, it's kind of entry-level information, but for those that are just now getting started, could you truly tell me the difference between a manufactured home, modular home, a mobile home, a tiny home, an RV? Could you give me those definitions? So while you might not see a lot of value in what just happened here, remember, I'm giving you from the bottom up. By the time we're done with this, you should be able to knock down one of these private property note transactions and start generating and manufacturing equity from your Hewlett-Packard printer and creating some massive returns so that way you can continue changing your lives. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. Questions, drop them below. Make sure you tell your friends. And if you're out there scoring deals, make sure you let us know here in the Propelio Academy. Let us know that the information that we're providing you is being put to use, so that way we can get rid of all the naysayers that say that, you know, free information is treated as just that. Because I know you are a hustler and you're going to go out there and you're going to do it. Give us the benefit of coming back and let us know when you kick it out of the park. Have a good one.